Have you ever stopped to think that the way you sign your name might actually say more about you than the name itself? Well, today we're going to dive into the fascinating and, pretty controversial world of graphology. It's a field that claims your simple pen strokes can reveal the very blueprint of your personality.
I mean, think about that to-do list you just scribbled down, right? Or maybe a birthday card you wrote. What if every single loop, every line, even how hard you press down on the paper, what if all of that was telling a secret story about who you really are?
Well, at its core, that's exactly what graphology claims to do. It's all about analyzing handwriting. But here's the kicker. It's not about the words you're writing. It's about how you write them. The goal is to decode your character traits right from your script.
And this really gets to the core idea. See, proponents argue that writing isn't just something you do with your hand. It's something you do with your brain. They see it as this unconscious expression that comes straight from your mind, almost like your handwriting is a unique brain print.
So, how do they actually read this brain print? Well, graphologists look at a few key things. They're checking out the size of your letters, the overall shape, like is it all curvy and round or sharp and angular? They look at the slant of your writing and even how hard you're literally pressing the pen onto the paper.
Now, you might think this is just some quirky, niche hobby, right? But it actually has a surprisingly common use in the professional world. We're talking about human resources departments.
Okay, let me ask you this. Have you ever been in a job interview and they ask you to write something out by hand? Like a short paragraph about yourself. It feels kind of old school, right? Well, there's a chance a graphologist was working behind the scenes, in the shadow, analyzing that very sample.
So you got to wonder, why would a company bother with handwriting analysis? Well, the people who support it say it has some pretty big advantages. For one, they argue that since writing is so unconscious, it's almost impossible to fake, not like a rehearsed answer in an interview. They also say it guarantees objectivity because the analyst doesn't know anything else about you. And hey, it can be a quick and cheap way to get a full snapshot of someone's personality.
The main tool they use for this has a fancy technical-sounding name, a proficiogramma. But don't let that intimidate you. It's basically just a custom template. The company lays out all the traits they want for a job, and the graphologist turns that wish list into a very specific handwriting profile to look for.
And here's how that works in the real world. A company's needs, is this a manager role or a support role? What skills do they need? All of that gets broken down. Then, each of those requirements gets mapped to a specific handwriting trait. It's a way of turning these abstract job descriptions into a concrete checklist for the graphologist.
Okay, so that's the how. But what about the what? What are they actually looking for in your writing? Let's get into the nitty-gritty of the specific traits and, yes, the red flags the graphologists claim they can spot.
I mean, it's no secret that in today's world, things change fast. So companies are on the hunt for employees who can handle a little bit of chaos, a little uncertainty. They don't just want technical skills, they want people who are resilient, who can adapt.
So how does that translate to your handwriting? Well, according to graphologists, a resilient person's writing looks flexible. It's vibrant. It has lots of curves. A rightward lean is a big deal too. They see that as being forward-looking and open. On the flip side, someone who's inflexible, their writing is said to be rigid, monotonous, and full of sharp angles, suggesting they resist change and are maybe a bit more closed off. But look, it's not all about finding the good stuff. A huge part of this process, for them, is about weeding out what they call toxic personalities before they join the team. So let's peek at some of these alleged red flags. You've got the manipulator, who might have really messy, illegible writing, or these little end strokes that loop under the next word, like a visual cue of their hidden influence. Then there's the anti-boss, who supposedly shows rebellious traits with T-bars that slant way up high. And the aggressor, they might be revealed by tons of sharp angles and really heavy pen pressure that practically invades the line below.
At the end of the day, the goal here is to build a solid team that works well together. The thinking is you probably don't want to put two super dominant, strong temperament people together. That's just asking for clashes, right? So instead, you'd pair them with more cooperative types to create a team that's balanced and actually gets things done.
All right, so we've covered the professional world, but the claims of graphology, they definitely don't stop at the office door. In fact, let's pivot to one of its most personal and, let's be honest, most controversial applications.
Yep, you heard that right. We're going from the boardroom to the bedroom. Some proponents claim that your handwriting can reveal secrets about your love life and even your potential for being faithful.
And apparently it all comes down to one single letter. According to them, one letter is uniquely linked to things like trustworthiness and commitment, and that letter is the letter G.
So here's the theory. It's all about that little horizontal bar in the G. If that bar extends way out past the circle, it's supposed to be a sign of honesty, commitment, and sincerity. But if that bar is super short, or you can barely see it, that's interpreted as emotional reservation, a lack of openness, and maybe even deceit.
Think about that for a second. A claim that a single pen stroke in one letter could signal something as complex as infidelity. I mean, that really shows you just how granular and, yeah, how incredibly controversial this whole field can get.
Which, of course, brings us to the elephant in the room. The big question hanging over everything we've talked about. What do we make of all this? Is graphology a real science? Is it just pseudoscience? Or is it something in between?
Well, the critical perspective is pretty blunt. Our source material puts it plainly. It is often considered a pseudoscience. For the most part, the scientific community is highly skeptical. They point out that there just aren't enough rigorous, repeatable studies to actually prove any of these claims.
So really, you're left with two completely different sides of the story. On one hand, you have the believers who see it as this amazing, objective tool, a true window into your personality that you just can't fake. And on the other hand, you have the critics who say, hold on, where's the scientific proof? And who warn that you should take all of this with a massive grain of salt.
So there you have it. From hiring decisions to matters of the heart, we've looked at the boldest claims of graphology and the serious skepticism that comes with them. So I'll leave you with one final thought to chew on. After all this, would you trust your handwriting to tell your story?